Welcome to SHOWstudio's Fashion Radio, the podcast and video series exploring the remarkable relationship between fashion and music. Every week, I'll be joined by fashion's biggest names and the talent of tomorrow as they share their 10 life-defining tunes and the stories behind them. I'm your host, DJ Fat Tony, and today, my guest is laying the foundations for the future of British fashion. As the chief executive of the British Fashion Council, she does so much more than just plan the annual fashion awards. As an avid supporter of the talents of tomorrow, initiatives like the BFC, Vogue Designer Fashion Fund, and the Fashion Trust, and of course NEWGEN, are ensuring the success of emerging brands and designers. It's a great honour to welcome none other than Caroline Rush. How long, Caroline Rush, have you been doing the Fashion Council?
I have been chief executive for 15 years.
Is it 15 now? Years? Fuck off.
It is.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, 2009.
That's actually insane. I can't believe it's been 15 years.
I know, I can't believe it's been 15 years.
And what 15 years, right? A lot's happened in those 15 years in the fashion world.
A lot's happened in the fashion world. A lot's happened in the world. There's been so much disruption through digital, and it's quite funny. I talked to the team and I'm like, I remember when we wrote a letter to the designers about Instagram, and they're like, no.
That's insane, right?
Yeah. You know,
how do you think that's taken? How do you think it's affected fashion on the whole? You know, with what's going on with digital and AI and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, it at some point it's gonna completely all meet in the middle, and there's gonna be like a mass disruption, I think, coming from it if it's not used properly.
Yeah, and the brilliant thing about our industry is it gets disrupted all the time. And actually part of being in the industry is that it disrupts itself as well.
Course. But that's fashion, right?
But that's fashion, and that's why we love it. And it feels like, you know, you're sort of on the pulse of what's happening in terms of culture and society, because fashion reflects all of that. But digital has just changed the way that business is done. You know, it's opened up fashion weeks. So they used to be like these really closed events. You know, you had to wait for the show reports that had come out, the big books that had come out at the end of the season. And now you can see it real time. And
yeah, you can copy it within 3 minutes, like major brands that we won't go into. But, you know, that is the world we live in. You know, what's on the catwalk is the shows are being shown all around the world. And those people are watching, and then suddenly 2 weeks later, it ends up in one of your favourite Spanish local department stores as such, brands.
Yeah, and that's becoming even quicker and even more challenging. And I think that for the designers, it then comes down to about building community, authenticity. It's the craft. It is, you know, it's demonstrated the fact that their product is the authentic, you know, product with the right price tag for the right audience. And there might be a cheap copy.
But it comes down to quality as well. For me,
it's quality, yeah. If you've bought quality,
100%.
that can stay in your wardrobe forever. You know, and I think that is disposable fashion is a whole different thing from the designers that we see on the catwalks and the businesses that we work with day in, day out. You know, that is about a creative art. It is about creating individual pieces, unique DNA, authentic brand pieces that you want to keep forever.
So the Fashion Council.
Yeah.
What does it do? And I know what it does, but what I'm saying to you is, you know, because we know they put on the fashion awards, and we know that you really are behind young creatives and pushing the new gen designers, which is an incredible thing that you do each year.
Yeah.
But what else does it do? How far does it reach, the Fashion Council?
Well, ultimately, our role is to support businesses, British businesses, to grow responsibly and globally. Yeah. So we do that through, you know, all of the programs we do through our charity. So NEWGEN and the Fashion Funds with Vogue and GQ and Fashion Trust. But we also do scholarships and Saturday clubs. Yeah. And for us, that's all about creating the ecosystem of talent coming through and enabling that to grow. And then we think about innovation and disruption and what's coming down the line and preparing businesses for the future. So with that, obviously, sustainability is a really big topic. So how do we get businesses to think about their impact on the planet, to make the right material choices, to adopt circular business models, you know? And then when you start to look at that, you've got to think about the whole ecosystem of how
I wish I never asked you this question now. There's a lot going on.
We need a different podcast for that. But also there's the D&I agenda. Yeah. So how do we make sure the businesses are reflecting that? Because that will just give us the best workforce we can ever have. And then there's digital innovation, like we talked about. So what's coming down the line? How will AI impact businesses? How can it empower businesses?
Yeah.
How do we protect IP in an AI-led world, you know? And then, as you said, we've got these amazing platforms, which is about sort of shouting globally what British fashion's about. And that is London Fashion Week and our Fashion Awards.
So, London, you know, let's talk about London Fashion Week, because from right back in the 80s when London Fashion Week first started with Lynn Franks and all the ye olde greats, Fashion Week was from the very first show of British Fashion Week. It just become this phenomenon that everybody wanted to be at. Everyone, when Body Map used to do a show, everyone wanted that ticket. When Catherine Hamnett did a show, when they all did the tents were in King's Road, and you know they were small tents, but at the time they seemed so big. And you know, and Fashion Week, that whole buzz that went with it was just something so magical. Because it was something. This is Britain, you know.
And I think it was the first time that the incredible creatives that come through our fashion colleges were given this collective platform to say, this is British creativity and fashion. And that brought buyers from around the world and press and excitement and hype. And, you know, that is true today.
Yeah, 100%.
The incredible creativity we have, you know, is that quite often we get asked by an international buyer, you know, how do you have so much creativity in one small country? And you're like, it's our fashion colleges. They are the best in the world. They're the best in the world, right?
I mean, no one, and there's no one on this planet that could argue with St. Martin's. There's no one on this planet that could say, oh, you know, because if we just look at that, what the creativity that's come out of just say St. Martin's or Goldsmiths, we could go on forever, all the colleges.
Absolutely.
The amount of creativity that they've generated and the masters of the fashion world have all come from those colleges.
They are. And do you know what? It's like
it's amazing, isn't it?
It's like the fuel for the fashion industry, because every brand around the world looks to creativity and looks to London to see what our young designers are doing, what trends are coming through. And of course, you know, Fashion Week is a small showcase of the talent that comes out of our colleges. There's those that wanted to start their own business. But you go into any fashion design room in any big brand around the world, you've got nearly every person there has studied at British colleges.
Yeah, of course.
And so we have this incredible alumni around the world. You know, go to any city, to any fashion week, and you talk to someone or some designer, and they're like, oh yeah, I studied at Central St. Martin's or the Royal College of Art or Westminster. And you just think is that this influence is global. It's incredible.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about music now, because you know that's a big part of the fashion world, as you know. Yeah. So when did you first get into music? What was your turning point where you thought, oh my God, I really love music and I really love fashion?
There was always music on in the house.
Did you grow up with music in the house?
I did, yeah. And I think sort of, you know, my mum had quite an eclectic album mix, as it was at the time. So everything from The Kings to Dusty Springfield, to Lionel Richie. Amazing. You know, and you're just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was amazing. The radio was always on in the car, you know, so always felt that music was around. And actually, if I'm ever in the house on my own, there's about 5 radios going. So every room I walk into, you know, there's music playing.
When you had, as I once said, one of my quotes was, you know, when you have a good record collection, you're never going to be lonely. And it's a fact.
True.
It's a fact, because music has the ability to change everything. You can be in a room on your own, and there's a certain track that you put on, and that room will be full of the people that are no longer with us, that record's attached to. And that's the magic of music. Yeah.
It's the people, the way you felt, you know.
It's amazing.
And then the hips start moving, and before you know it, you're dancing around the kitchen or wherever it might be.
So what do you listen to? You just said, you know, when you're at home.
Yeah, I've got such an eclectic love of music and again, it is, you know, it's the influences of everyone around you, isn't it? So obviously I had my mum growing up. My dad always loved like Diana Ross and soul music.
How can you not?
And then I guess as a teenager, it was pop. Yeah. Like the first gig I went to, my poor elder sister, Liz, who's amazing, had to take her little sister, the first gig she ever went to as well, which was the Thompson Twins at the Manchester Apollo.
I love that.
And so I was like up in the top with my dad sat there while Liz was down, right at the front dancing away. And then the second gig, which was quite quickly after that, was Depeche Mode. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is amazing.
So I was a massive Depeche Mode fan. And I used to go to all of their gigs religiously.
Yeah.
The first one I went to was at the venue in Victoria. And just, I was obsessed. I was obsessed by that, by the electronic music, the synthesizer.
Incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you weren't from that era, and suddenly it revolutionized music. It was like, what is this sound?
It was incredible. And Dave Gahan was just
he still is. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And no one really knows this because I've never said it before, but I was actually in the Thompson Twins video in drag.
I'm going to have to go back and try and find that now.
In drag. I remember filming it for 2 days. It drove us mad. And I'm wearing it in there in drag with a massive pink fur coat on and this big curly wig. Yeah, so there you go. Now you know that. We'll go and find that one.
Yeah.
But they're great choices. So are they your go-to sounds in the house?
So they're not, because I think it depends how I'm feeling. If I want sort of a bit of empowerment, is that I always want a female-led vocalist, power lyrics coming through, whether that is Alison Moyet or Beyonce or Whitney or...
I love yours. I love yours. It's like, it's...
I'm
no
like,
one's
come on,
gone
girls, we're getting it.
Nearly 40 podcasts and no one's gone down this route.
Really?
No one's brought the Thompson Twins to the table. I think we may have had one Depeche Mode, but no one's gone there with the Alison Moyets.
Oh my God.
No.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Also, as a teenager growing up, my mum, then as sort of every mum gets into, I'm sure, is that the only band she could ever remember was Yazoo. So whatever I had on the radio, she'd be like, is this Yazoo?
I love that. Yeah, my mum does the same. She'll say the name wrong with everything. It's like, no.
No, exactly. That was normally the answer. Yeah. But yeah, that's when I need uplifting. So that's my go-to. But I also love, sort of Al Green, Isley Brothers.
You're a bit of a soul girl, aren't you?
I love that. But then sort of if I think about my late teens, early 20s, it was house music, garage, so a bit of CC Peniston.
I actually had that. I heard that in the gym earlier, actually.
I love that.
Yeah,
and I think those things, sort of your first year's clubbing, I grew up in the north, so... I'd be at the Hacienda and, you had Madonna and everything else playing there. It was absolutely incredible. But, when I came to London is that it was really garage music. And so, and you go on holiday and you're in the clubs. And I think, back to memories is that I can still remember the people that I was with when I first heard it.
Hang on, can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
How old are you?
52.
Okay, so you are from that era. That's why I'm sitting here just thinking, trying to work out how come she knows...
42.
Well, we also take 3 years off for COVID.
Oh, right, okay, we do.
So
I'm not 50 yet. That's great, isn't it?
You're not 50.
Really
I'm 39 because I took 28 years off for addiction. So I'm always going to be 39, I've decided. I'm not getting any older.
If only, right?
It's kind of how we feel.
Yeah.
So... the fact that you grew up in that era, which is a really amazing era to grow up in.
It was. And I said when I first moved to London, I was working in an office, actually in beauty, not in fashion at the time. And I couldn't really afford to go out. So I got a job at the WAG Club. So I was working behind the bar at the WAG Club. And as you know, is that it was incredible. You'd have live music playing. You'd have great DJs. Yeah. They also owned Shaftesbury's and Café de Paris at the time. So you could flex between these three clubs. You never had to queue.
It was when clubbing was clubbing. When people went out 7 nights a week.
Yeah, and the weekend you were out till the early hours of the morning. You'd end up at the Cross or Ealing Broadway.
People would go out on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, a Thursday night. That was how London clubbing was, because that was club culture. We don't have that today.
No.
We don't have that, okay, we know where we're going on Tuesday, we know where we're going on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because people put on parties on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. And they would be sellouts because everyone wanted to go out every night of the week because that was the culture.
Yeah.
That culture's gone, it's changed, and things have moved on. We've moved more into festivals and more big events. And
I know.
that's kind of the way it is.
I'm glad I grew up in that era, though.
But that will come back.
Yeah.
Like
I hope so.
Of course it will.
I hope so. It was so much fun.
You know how things are. They grow and they become
do.
big and then it changes.
Comes back in circles.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
It's fashion, right?
It'd
be fashionable to go out again Monday. I can't wait.
Well, I was going to say we'd go out most nights anyway, but we just don't go tonight.
But I like to moan about going out on a Tuesday now. Oh, God, it's Tuesday. I have to go to this bloody event. And I moan about it, but I love it even more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. Until you get, you moan until you get there and then you're like, oh, great.
Oh, yeah, everyone's here.
Yeah.
Let me moan to them about being here. What's your most influential track from your childhood?
I think it might be Whitney.
Which one?
I Want to Dance. That
really?
video was epic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
And I just remember thinking, like, the energy, the voice.
She looked
so
amazing
good.
in that video as well. She, it's a timeless video. And also, Whitney doesn't get Whitneyed enough for me. I mean, it's like, how can you argue? I went to see her just before, obviously, after she did her comeback, and I went to see her at Wembley. No, the O2. It was the O2. And people were getting up and walking out because she couldn't hit the notes. Instead of celebrating the fact that she was back on that stage, you had people like going, oh, she's lost it. It was like...
I'm not sure I'd have noticed. I'd have literally been like,
she was incredible.
I'm in the room with Whitney.
She was incredible.
Yeah. I think also is that you saw Whitney, obviously, she was in the public eye and she started off what appeared to be this happy-go-lucky and, had her own personal challenges, her love life went to at various different times, felt, that she didn't have the people around her that she wanted to. And to different extents, everyone goes through that period in life. You're sort of young, you're happy, hopefully. If you
get swept away. We get swept away with the yes people when you're put into a place that suddenly the world isn't real.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're fighting to find reality. And you find it in the worst places. And that's what happened with Whitney. And, it took a very, very dark turn.
Yeah.
Because we get carried away with everything, and I've been there. And, the thing about it is with Whitney, bless her heart, she didn't stand a chance on so many levels.
No.
Do you get what I mean?
It's heartbreaking, the documentary, isn't it?
It's too much. Bless her heart.
Yeah.
And such an incredible,
oh my God,
incredible person and singer. Like just the performance of it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I love The Bodyguard as well. I love watching
I do love that. And I think actually, probably the third or fourth gig I went to, I got to go and see Michael Jackson at Wembley.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, I went down on the coach, with some mates, stayed in a really dodgy hotel in Wembley, but is that MJ was a great showman. And I know, it's challenging, isn't it? When you have got someone who's got a body of music who's then tarnished,
and now you're not allowed to, we live in a society that, that quite easy cancel people for things, other people's opinions yet again. And, the truth or no truth, it was never proven. And we live in a world where you're guilty in this world until proven innocent. Okay, what song do you have on repeat at work and at home?
Again, it depends on mood. Depends what's going on. And you have life periods. I actually get slightly addicted to albums and have done since I was a kid, where you just have them on repeat. So Beyonce quite often.
Oh,
love a bit of Beyonce. Tracy Chapman.
Oh, wow.
Love.
Okay. Yeah.
Like her first album.
First album, yeah.
It's still incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you go back and listen to it. But then in the car on the way here is that I was listening to, there was Queen, because I'm like switch between all the stations until I find what I want. But there was, Queen was playing. Who else was there? God, there were some amazing tracks on, actually.
I love that fact that you used to be addicted to listening to the same album. I spent about 5 years listening to Love Wars by Womack and Womack, one of my favourite albums. And I actually put it on last week and listened to and sang every word to every song.
I know, it's funny, isn't it?
She put me into this most amazing headspace.
Incredible.
I was just like, oh my God, I need to do this more and just start home and listen to an album.
I know. I think the Eurythmics started me on that. I remember we moved house once when I was, I don't know, I guess I was a teenager. And I just remember literally listening to a Eurythmics album non-stop. My mum was like, turn that off.
I've always done it though. When I was a kid, my mum and dad, the first record I ever asked my mum and dad to get me was Crocodile Rock by Elton John. And I played it non-stop. Okay, what musician today inspires you most for style?
Oh, style's tough, isn't it?
It really is.
And also, I love the fact that artists use fashion to really express themselves. And as you know, I'm kind of a jeans and a jacket girl. But I love, Gaga, when Nicola Formicasi did...
There's Nicole there.
Nicola. But sort of like the meat dress and things like that. Clearly not my style, but I just love it. I love pushing boundaries.
They're moments that you'll always remember.
They are.
And there are those standout things. It's like when we had Laura Roach on and we talked about Zendaya wearing the Mugler.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen that Mugler outfit and we've all adored that bit, but we've not seen it on Zendaya.
Yeah.
And we've not seen it in that situation.
Exactly.
And that was what was
incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Gaga. She does these looks that are young fashion students' looks, and she'll find this designer, she'll latch onto, and she'll get them to. It's insane.
And it's so good for the young designers because it just takes them to a whole different audience.
The most important song you've heard at a catwalk show, and you've been to quite a few catwalk shows, Caroline.
So many. The one that made me cry was Only You and Alison Moyet at Burberry. Which would have been, I don't know, 2016 maybe, something like that.
Who was chief designer then?
Christopher Bailey. And it was just
hang on, let's do a Christopher Bailey moment here.
Should we do his medleys of
the best. The best. I was talking about this the other day and I saw Christopher and I said, why? I know what he's doing. He's with the kids and he's living his best life. And I said, please come back. We need you to come back. It's just do a Christopher Bailey. It's...
I think it's that he had such a love of music, didn't he?
He knew what he was doing.
He was there to uplift young talent, is to put a spotlight on just incredible artists because it inspired him, it inspired his collection. So it was so authentic. But that was a moment.
That's a moment. I agree with you. I love that. And the last show that he did.
Oh gosh, that was unreal, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just the pride moments. It was just all the rainbow stuff. And just to do the Burberry fabric with a faint rainbow checker behind it was just genius. Because it was really, it was really brave.
Yeah, it's that everyone was crying at the end of that show, weren't they? Yeah.
Just with the lighting. Everything about it was just amazing.
It was amazing.
It was Burberry at its best for me. And I like to...
I think things move on.
Of course they do.
Have to remember.
And they have to move on.
They do. And I actually, I think is that Riccardo brought a bit of sexiness in.
He brought the tissue brand to Burberry.
He had a bit of sexy. And Daniel, I love, is that he is embracing the incredible, textiles and heritage.
And I love that bringing the heritage collection back.
It looks really good.
I love the fact he's doing a heritage collection, which is what Burberry is known for.
It is.
And you can do all your capsule collections around it. It's like Kim Jones at Dior, right?
Oh my God.
He brings in the Jones of it, right? But it also encompasses Dior. So he'll take from the archives of Dior.
It's the respect, isn't it, to the history and then modernising and bringing their own point of view.
Burberry needs again. Do you know what I mean?
Daniel's there. It
agree.
Takes time, right?
It does.
That as you're starting to change the aesthetic and the understanding of brand and all of the visual that goes around.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what a job that is to go in to a brand and say, okay, right, I'm here now. Can you imagine? It's like being the new kid. What's it like being the new kid at school? Hated by everyone, bullied, head put down the toilet. All of that stuff's going to happen at work too, right? And just bless him. He's got some big shoes to fit. Best music video in terms of fashion.
Easy.
Go on.
freedom.
Oh, I love you, Caroline.
There has never, ever been anything that has beaten that video with a supermodel just looking incredible.
Just all of them. Linda, like all of them.
My gosh.
It was just a very young Naomi.
Yeah.
It's just like the genius of that video is that if you watch it today, it's as fresh as it was back then.
My gosh. Yeah.
And
I could watch that on repeat, see?
all day long.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that, that whole era of George Michael at that point in time when it was the pinnacle of fashion and music colliding.
Yeah.
So,
it was that sort of MTV, everything becomes accessible, can you remember Tube, Channel 4, Soul Train, you had all of these different genres of music that were getting platforms on television before you had a million different streaming channels. You had 4 channels that you could watch. And it was amazing. And then MTV came and you had dedicated music and the fashion played such a big role in it.
A major part in it.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, right, they had Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
And the dancers on Top of the Pops would go to the King's Road and they would go, the researchers would buy all the clothes from Westwood. I mean, you could tell when they had a bit of extra budget because they had Westwood outfits on.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it would be for the Great Gear Market and so on and so on. So they would cherry pick all these outfits. When the dancers came on, they'd be wearing Carmen Bell or they'd be wearing these outfits from King's Road. And that was really where as much fashion came into TV.
Yes.
That was the level of it.
Yeah.
And it was only when all these new music programs that came along, like the Tube. Yeah. Like all of the, there was so many of those new fresh platforms that came along. And like with Janet Streetport doing, what was it called? Something 7 on Sunday
with Normski.
Yes, and all of those things. But it brought in fashion.
Yeah.
And it just changed TV forever. Because it was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? It was like suddenly TV had become colourful again. Yeah, it was. I mean, you became glued to those programmes, didn't you? Yeah, and then suddenly that's how fashion became so mainstream. We had Bananarama on here. Oh my God, I love those. Yeah, and I was saying to them, I don't think you realise what fashion icons you really were. For teenage girls, you were every girl wanted to look like you. They wanted those dungarees and the back combed hair. And check shirts. You defeminized women in such a way, you made it okay to be just like and wear your jeans. But they don't really understand that they created a whole generation. Oh my God, it was amazing. I mean, that was it. Also great tunes. Amazing, come on. I used to be their stylist. Did you? Yeah. I mean, we talk about it in the book. I styled 2 of their videos. Oh my God. Robert De Niro's Waiting, and I styled Venus as well. It's so good. So good. In my that 1 week that I was a fashion stylist. It lasted about... I can do that. Exactly that. Exactly that. I said, well, who's doing your video? Why don't you let me do it? And they were like, all right. And I was like... Suddenly had a checkbook and pen. I was out shopping. Blank. Literally mental. Yeah. So mad. And brought in like Ray Allington and all the hairdressers at the time and the makeup artists to do it. So good. It was those were the days, right? Yeah. Okay. So I love that's a really brilliant choice. Freedom is like just also such a great song. Still is. Still is. That's what I mean. Yeah. It still is. We just the words to that song mean everything. Yeah. Okay. Describe what you're wearing. Black jeans. Tell me your staple diet, right? Of what you wear. It's just what I'm comfortable in. I've got so many. Actually, not so many. I've got 3 black jackets that I love. I do have some others, but those that just wear on repeat. One's a Dior Men, one's an Alexander McQueen, and this one, which is Misha Nunu. And then... Gorgeous, by the way. Jeans, different shoes or boots, depending what time of year it is. It's just so easy. And then I get at fashion weeks or events to be, Who's your favourite designer to wear for fashion awards? It's so tough. I try and wear a different one every time. So I wore Richard Quinn last time, which I love. Let's have a Richard Quinn moment. He's not been mentioned on this show enough. What? No way. Occasionally he pops up, but I love Richard Quinn. I think
Queen loved Richard Quinn.
He's a genius. And the shows and everything about it, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. And he's just such a brilliant person, yes. But design-wise, he does a great statement dress and coats. And, you know, for those big moments, I can think of... well, I'm going to have to think because I'm not going to wear Richard this year. I'm going to have to think who I'm going to wear this
We've got a
December.
sheesh on here.
Oh my God, so much fun.
Yeah, love a sheesh.
Yes, colourful.
It's high glamour.
Incredible.
Accessible high glamour. It's like a confetti cannon, Joan Collins, Danny LaRue, all thrown into a blender. It's amazing.
I've got this oversized grey hoodie, which is an Ashish one with sequin rush on it, which is so good.
Amazing.
And I saw it in a show and I was just like, I have to have that.
It's got your name on it. You know what I mean? You have to have it, yeah.
I gotta have it, yeah.
Yeah, incredible. Great choices, great choices. Okay, what song did you listen to getting ready this morning? We know what you had on in the car on the way here.
Yeah. Earth, Wind and Fire, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah, it was on the radio. It wasn't an...
What radio station do you listen to?
Oh, everything between Radio 2, 1Extra, Kiss Street.
Yeah, the Kiss Street can't beat Kiss Street.
So good.
Magic FM as well is a good one to have in the background.
Really good. It is. Yeah. You know, if you feel the love, tune in. Magic or heart.
I'm going to ask a question. Do you listen to music or do you feel music? I reckon you feel it. I think you're a feeler.
Yeah, because I listen to music either to reflect my mood or to change my mood.
So that's feeling it. There's a difference between listening to something, because I can listen to something that's on in the background. I'm going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
When I feel it, within 3 bars, my hairs will stand on end. My whole chemistry, my brain changes. Do you get what I mean? Suddenly I'm like, I'm alert. Oh my God, I love this. Do you get what I mean? There's nothing like that. I
think music can get you through really challenging times. You know, you put a track on, you get up in the morning, and you're just like, God, this is going to be a tough day. And you're like, okay, who do I need? Who's going to be with me through this?
You know that.
Yeah.
It's like I always get home and I go, Siri, play As by George Michael.
Yeah.
And come on. And I'm just like, and then I'll make it, play again.
Yeah.
Repeat it, play it again. And I'll play it like 6 or 7 times. And I'm like, okay, I've had enough of that now.
Okay, we move on.
Yeah, we'll move on to Maxwell. I know, literally I had this like 7, but now I've learned, which Stabby, my fiance, said, why don't you just tell it to play your tunes? I went, can you do that? And it does it. It plays all the recent tunes.
I'm going to be doing that.
And Siri, play my tunes. And they all come on one by one.
Amazing.
Literally every Sade track under the sun.
Oh, my God.
Amazing. But it does. That's the beauty of music. That's the power of music.
It is.
And when those two worlds collide, music and fashion, it's like, it's the biggest tornado, like tsunami.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And I love it when music artists get it right. Do you know what I mean? I just feel, wow.
Exactly.
You're unstoppable.
And equally, as you said, as a fashion show, when someone brings someone in to, or they work with every time to curate their music. I know Benji B.
We love Benji. I saw Benji last week on the plane,
Used to be sort of such a collaborator, Virgil's, but has worked actually with a lot of our young designers, does it on a pro bono basis to help them figure out the tracks to the collection they've created that will create that feeling that they want for the show. Amazing.
Whose wardrobe would you raid? Out of everybody.
Oh my God.
Who would you look at?
Whose wardrobe? You were talking about Daphne being on, surely.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly I'd have to, be half the size that I am, but wow.
Yeah, wow, right. Do you see that there's this little, I saw a clip of a documentary about her the other day about the Chanel dresses.
Yeah,
just amazing. Just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just like...
incredible.
Yeah. And it's a real insight into somebody like Daphne, because you see Daphne and you just think, how does she do that 24 hours a day? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's just like... and why? And then when you watch these little clips or you see it like an insert into a life, you just think, now I get it.
Exactly.
Because she's an artist.
She is an artist, but also just looks impeccable.
Always.
Yeah.
Never a hair out of place, nothing.
No.
You wouldn't see her in a pair of trainers running around the road in sweatpants.
You wouldn't see her in a pair of jeans, would you?
No. Can you imagine? It'd be weird seeing Daphne in jeans. Can you imagine it? Be like, what the fuck? No. Okay, and out of anyone, if there's someone you would work with, who is it? Musician-wise or designer-wise? Who is that person who you think, oh my God, I'd love to do something with them?
Oh, that is a good shout, because actually I've had the opportunity to work with most of the designers, or meet them, or sit at a dinner with them.
You're Caroline Rush from the British Fashion Fund, so hello. Do you know what I mean?
And I do, I don't take for granted the fact that I have the opportunity to work with these incredible creatives who inspire me every day to do the work that we do at the British Fashion Council. And I think everyone at the British Fashion Council feels that, whether they're working with the young designers or the students or the established businesses. If you love fashion, I'm not sure there's a better job, really. And then in terms of music, we've been lucky enough to work with quite a few music artists, either at the Fashion Awards or hosting dinners for us. Like Elton and David used to host dinners for us during Men's Fashion Week. But maybe...
Who is it? Go on, say it.
Elton to collaborate with our young designers to do something incredible. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he inspires so many. So let's work on that.
There's a really good yet there. That's amazing. That's like, if that doesn't happen soon, then I'll hold you to that one. I think it's a great inspo. It really is. I mean, no one has a back catalogue like Elton John.
It's true. No one has a wardrobe like Elton John.
No, and they're just about to sell the contents. They're doing a big another one of their out of the closet sales in New York,
my gosh,
where they sell all their clothes and all their shoes and everything. I mean, no one has that amount of shoes and clothes. Have you ever been to one of these sales? They take over these warehouses and they bring everything, the contents. So they're selling the whole contents of that Atlanta house.
Oh my gosh.
In a sale. So you can go in, anyone can go in and buy these clothes that they used to be Elton John's and David Frasier's, like shoes and everything. And it's not an auction. It's like a retail shop. And all the money goes to the EGF, which is remarkable, which then goes on to so many other charities. That's the good thing about the EGF. They give to so many other charities.
Many others,
it's
They're
remarkable.
Amazing, those guys, aren't they?
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
And, it's not on the gram.
Yeah.
They do all this stuff about it being, oh, look at us, look what we're doing, look what we're giving. As George Michael, let's go back to himself, said, charity's a coat you wear twice a year. and he wore it very well. This is my favourite question, and also it's a lot of people's worst question. What song would you have at your funeral?
Let's Dance by David Bowie.
Oh, that's a great choice.
Do you think?
Yeah. That just made my hair stand on then. That's a really good choice.
Yeah.
Because, most people would go with like Life on Mars or, something like Poignant. Let's dance. Let's dance.
Celebrate a life, hopefully. I
love
enjoyed it so far. So
no, that's a really good one. I like that a lot. And what track represents how you feel about life right now?
I was laughing when you said this over and reflecting. So it's 40 years of London Fashion Week, 15 years in the job. And so it does feel a bit like I'm still standing.
A bit more Elton. There's a lot of Elton today.
There's a lot of Elton today.
There's a lot of love in the room. Yeah, you are still standing. 15 years of doing that job and putting up with that job and putting up with tantrums and putting up with dramas and putting up with the industry. Because it's not about the people,
It's not about putting up with. It's about working with amazing people.
I'm saying that in my own turn, like the way I would be like, oh, how does she put up with that? But you know what? It's not. It's about working with different people. I agree with you.
Incredible.
It's what makes our country so great. Our fashion.
It is.
We have got a lot to be proud of when it comes to British fashion.
We've got so much to be proud of, and I think if people complain, it's normally because they just want things to be better, right? And we all do.
Yeah.
So you should have a voice. You should be able to flex that voice. But it's an incredible privilege.
I'm going to ask you one question that's not on here. Favourite shop in London? Yeah, I'm faster, aren't I? Go on, you got to say it. Say it, Caroline.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
I'll start the ball rolling. For me, department store-wise, is Selfridges, because I just think that their diversity of their menswear and their womenswear is incredible. For me, I've been going there since I was 3 years old, and it's always been this magical Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of thing. I've walked into and I'm just like being in awe of.
But I love department stores because they all have their different perspectives. The Selfridges, amazing. Experience, product, sustainability credentials, awesome. Liberty of London.
Listen, I was talking about this to Carl Duval the other day.
Yeah.
You cannot go into Liberties without buying something.
So true. So true. I challenge anyone to do that.
Honestly, on every floor you go up, it's like an Aladdin's cave. Their furniture is
homewares.
Where those buyers get half that stuff from, you're just like, oh my God, rugs. Things that you just like, you go in there to buy perfume and you come out with lamps and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's what's so genius about department stores.
I love it.
Harvey Nichols. Now, we don't hear a lot from them anymore at the moment because that's the way they'll be back.
Of course they will.
Be back at the top.
They have a great beauty offering.
Amazing.
The thing about Harvey Nichols is it's a small department store. So you get to go in and out, find out what you want, and you can sort of jump out really quickly.
Harrods,
I do love Harrods wear. Always get lost in there.
Yeah, it's, for me, the menswear department is amazing. But sometimes I quite like getting lost. Yeah. Because I find things that I didn't know were there.
But I think you get lost because you're so drawn into the product and you forget kind of which staircase or escalator you're near, and you're like, oh my God, where am I? So you've got to walk around another 3 times.
I spend half my life in Ibiza, and I've been going there since 83, and I found this department store, this warehouse, that designer warehouse, outside of Ibiza Old Town by IKEA, and it's in a warehouse. And my friends went, "Have you never been?" I was like, "No." I walked in through this little black door, and I was just like, "What the fuck?"
I think we all need that address.
Everything from Prada, Miu Miu, all the way Vivienne Westwood, everything right in there. And I was just like, "How long have you been here? It's new, right?" And he went, "No, we've been here 10 years. And I was just like, "What?" I thought I knew this. I thought I knew everything there was to know about everything, And it's just that magical moment of like, oh my God, it's so brilliant. And that's what you find in department stores, in British departments, going into these stores, turning corners and thinking, wow, where did this come from?
Like the best buyers in the world, you've got their view on their industry, selecting product for us as customers. It is amazing. It's that curation.
I found a store in Ibiza that sells Martine Rose. More Martine Rose there than you can get in London. Honestly, every time I go, this is every week, I'm like in there straight away. I'm like, what have you got?
What have you got?
Literally, like straight to the drug dealer's house. That's why it's the things that change. It's about Martine Rose. Get me Martine Rose. But it's brilliant that you can go to these places and all of our British designers are being celebrated.
I love it, whether it's Tokyo or Seoul or New York or LA. Like seeing our independent British designers in multi-brand stores still gives me a rush. It's good.